Thanks for tuning in. I hope everyone's spring is off to a nice start. I will say 85 degrees is a bit warm for the first week of April. To those celebrating Passover and Easter this week, I hope you have a safe and festive gatherings with your families and friends. On Tuesday, I attended the grand opening of Samsung Biologics biomanufacturing operations in Rockville. I was joined there by Governor Wes Moore, Representative April McLean-Delaney, and other state and local leaders to celebrate the investment and its impact on our economy. This is Samsung's first manufacturing facility in the United States. It's a big one. Samsung acquired GSK's facility where they will continue manufacturing products for GSK, but they plan on expanding the scope of their work, expanding the footprint of the building and the workforce as well. Most important, they're looking at expanding the production services they'll be able to offer here that will benefit existing companies and attract other companies to locate nearby. By taking over this facility and retaining more than 500 employees, Samsung preserves critical expertise and keeps highly skilled jobs here in our community. That matters for those workers and their families, and it matters for the long-term stability of our economy. Samsung wanted to be in Montgomery County to be close to institutions like NIH and the FDA, along with a network of private companies and research organizations that support everything from discovery to manufacturing. Companies know they can come here and find the people and partnerships they need. I want to thank Samsung Biologics for its commitment to our community. I also want to recognize the employees who continue to operate this facility. Their experience and skill are what make this operation possible. Montgomery County continues to stand out in conversations with international companies. Our diversity, our workforce, and our proximity to federal agencies give us an advantage. Samsung's presence here reinforces that we're part of a global industry. It shows the companies see long-term value in being here, and it helps position us for future growth. The news of Samsung Biologics opening its first drug manufacturing facility in the county highlights the importance of engaging the international business community. Over the last 2 weeks, I traveled to Taiwan and India for my most recent economic development trip. Over the past couple of years, we've been very intentional about building our international presence, and we're starting to see real results from that work. While we were in Taiwan, we signed an agreement with Galaverse, a global semiconductor technology company that specializes in satellite systems and space-based infrastructure, which is eager to expand its base and establish a presence in Montgomery County. What was interesting in both nations was the use of AI and how ubiquitous it was. In India, at the large tech show we attended, we got to see hardware and software solutions that are being introduced. And in Taiwan's Smart Cities Conference, AI is embedded in almost every technological innovation on display. One especially interesting aspect were companies whose innovations centered on reducing the energy consumption of AI, cognizant of the need to improve its efficiency, and some demonstrated use cases where AI results were rendered with less energy consumption. I actually got to see one of those. It is certainly something for us to be aware of. It is clear for us to remain competitive that we need to invest and support the advanced technologies across industry sectors, which was why our work here at the University of Maryland Institute for Health Computing is so important. Since 2023, we've participated in more than a dozen economic development missions across multiple countries. These trips are about making connections, explaining what Montgomery County offers, and building relationships that can turn into investments and jobs. Frankly, it involves introducing Montgomery County to people who don't know us. And going back to our first trips, people knew Boston, they knew San Francisco, they knew San Diego, and they knew the Triangle. But here we are, third largest cluster in the country, and many people didn't know we existed. Even though they knew about NIH and FDA, they didn't connect that to the cluster here. So often our conversations involve telling our story. We've already seen companies from places like India, Taiwan, and South Korea establish a presence here, and others are in the pipeline as they complete fundraising or expand into the U.S. market. We've also signed agreements with international partners to support business development and create pathways for companies to enter Montgomery County. These trips also benefit our local businesses. More than 30 county-based companies have joined us on these missions, building their own partnerships and expanding into global markets. This work takes time, but it's how you grow an economy, by building relationships, staying engaged, and making sure Montgomery County is part of a global conversation. While I was away, I was happy to learn the United Kingdom-based company Risk Ledger will open an office in the county. The company's decision to establish a presence in the Rockville Innovation Center underscores the advantages of locating in a community with world-class research institutions, a strong cluster of tech companies, and a highly skilled workforce, and proximity to federal partners such as the U.S. National Cybersecurity Center of Excellence. I look forward to supporting their growth. The Montgomery County government, our state government, and our regional partners all play critical roles in helping small or expanding companies accelerate next-generation technological development. International engagement and outreach helps create investments and more jobs in the county. On Wednesday, I attended the World Vaccine Congress in Washington, D.C., where Montgomery County was proud to be represented as both an exhibitor and part of a broader discussion on the future of vaccine development. This is one of the largest and most important gatherings of its kind in the world. It brings together researchers, manufacturers, policymakers, and public health leaders to look at the full pipeline, from early-stage research to large-scale manufacturing and distribution. Montgomery County belongs in that conversation. We're at the center of one of the nation's leading biohealth clusters. Companies here are working on vaccines and therapies every day, supported by institutions like the National Institutes of Health and the Food and Drug Administration. That work has global impact, and it's one of the reasons companies continue to locate and grow here. The conversations at the conference are occurring at a critical moment. Public confidence in vaccine, and more broadly in science, is being challenged. Statements and actions coming out of Washington, including from Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and the Trump administration, have contributed to confusion about vaccines that have proven safe and effective for decades. When I was a kid, I remember standing in a line of kids getting the polio vaccine in my school in D.C. I had no idea what polio was or how widespread it was, let alone how debilitating it was. Only later did I learn about its real impact. The immunization campaign led to a drop in polio cases from 35,000 to 5,600 between 1953 and 1957, and by 1961, cases had dropped to 161. Americans learned that vaccines worked, and it changed what it meant to grow up in America. What we're seeing now, today, has consequences. Diseases like measles, which had largely been eradicated, are reappearing. Vaccine hesitancy over shots we've routinely taken is going to worsen public health. It's another administration effort to undermine trust in science and research, and it's dangerous because people will get sick and die because of the misinformation coming out of Trump and Kennedy. As we close out this year's respiratory virus season, and with the onset of another new COVID variant, I asked Sean O'Donnell, HHS Deputy Director, to share some of the latest updates on our county's vaccine levels, challenges, initiatives, and resources on our media briefing. So here's a clip from the information he shared.
I also want to talk about what are we doing in public health for this. Many people are aware of all the vaccinations that come out for school-age kids, the vaccine for children, and indeed that's how most of the vaccines are given are to child-age individuals. There are some vaccines that are dedicated for adults, such as the shingles vaccine. This past year, we mentioned on one of the previous media events that Maryland has started up a program for adults called the Maryland Vaccine Program. And I'm just sharing some data from this last month that our team has done. And these are numbers of adults who are getting vaccines through this program now at no cost to them. And so these are for individuals who don't have insurance or their insurance does not cover vaccines. And we've given out vaccines. Indeed, IPV is for polio. We've given out vaccines, the varicella for chickenpox, MMRs for measles, mumps, and rubella, where we've seen measles cases and mumps cases increase around the country, as well as the COVID and flu vaccines. And so again, we're trying to make sure everyone has the vaccines that they need. This is admittedly a small number compared to the number of people who are out there who don't have vaccinations for these diseases, particularly for annual vaccinations like COVID or flu. But we just wanted to share some of that data and highlight why it's really important. You can still get your COVID shot. You can still get your flu shot. And if you have insurance, it's covered. If you don't have insurance, you can contact us at the Montgomery County Department of Health and Human Services. The phone number is 240-777-1222. 1050. And again, if your child needs a vaccine, or if you're an adult and do not have vaccine coverage, please call us at that number.
Last week, we held a groundbreaking NOBI 2 project in North Bethesda. This development will bring 268 units of fully affordable housing to the Pike District, just a short walk from the North Bethesda Metro. It is expected to open in the summer of 2028. That location matters. When we talk about transit-oriented development, we're talking about putting people close to jobs, transportation, and services so they can actually take advantage of the opportunities around them. What stands out here is the level of affordability. These homes are being built for residents earning between 30% and 70% of area median income. That range reflects the people who keep the county running: workers, families, and seniors who need housing that matches what they earn. We don't have a lot of that in the county. How significant is that number? And our system, our housing system today, to yield that many units from market rate developments, you'd have to build about 1,800 market rate units to yield this number of units. The county made a significant investment to help make this happen, including a $38 million loan from our Housing Initiative Fund, the largest permanent financing agreement we've done, and a pilot to support the project's long-term viability. The state also contributed critical financing, and SCG Development stayed committed to delivering affordable housing in a market where it would have been easier to build something else. The project is part of a broader transformation in North Bethesda. That growth is important, but it only works if people can afford to live nearby. We've been focused on producing, preserving, and protecting affordable housing across the county. Since 2019, we've helped create or preserve more than 9,000 affordable homes, and I've proposed another $100 million in the FY27 budget to continue that work. NOBI reflects what happens when we stay focused on the fundamentals, housing people can afford in places where they can succeed. I appreciate the work of Dr. Bruton and his DHCA team and SCG for getting this project done. Next week, the County Council will hold public hearings on April 7th, 8th, and 9th on my FY27 recommended operating budget, and I strongly encourage residents to participate. This is a challenging budget year. Costs are rising. Revenues, thanks to the Trumpian impact on the local economy, are predicted to decline. Thousands of jobs have been lost. More are threatened. Companies have shuttered, and all of that has an impact on county revenues. And county revenues have an impact on county taxes. Trump promised to shift responsibility of programs to the states. A shift meant to save federal dollars in order to create massive tax cuts for the wealthy. Now the state, and to an extent the county, have to replace the reduced funding or face the closure of important social programs. You can see this impact even more with the state. The fact is that Trump has targeted Maryland and Montgomery for some of the most severe cuts. At the same time, we're seeing increased demand for services across the board. In this budget, we focused on protecting the fundamentals, starting with our schools. The budget fully funds the Board of Education's request and provides $3.8 billion for Montgomery County Public Schools, an increase of nearly $190 million over last year, with the county contribution increasing by about $180 million. That's more than half of our tax-supported budget. It includes full funding for negotiated agreements, additional support for special education, continued investments in student mental health, and funding for 28 security officers in elementary schools. As noted in the chart on your screen, pending approval by the County Council of this recommended budget, the foremost increases in county support for MCPS will have taken place within the past 4 fiscal years, reflecting ongoing efforts to restore per pupil spending to its inflation-adjusted FY10 level. The reduction in school funding from FY10 forward came at the same time the challenges to schools increased. More poverty, more students with disabilities. In other words, more students with challenges and less money available to meet the challenges, let alone maintain the service levels that existed. It was not a good for our children and our communities. Superintendent Dr. Thomas Taylor said this budget, quote, significantly increases operational funding for our school system and recognizes the essential needs of our students and staff, unquote. And he goes on to say that these investments are, quote, vital to ensuring every student has the tools to succeed, unquote. The Montgomery County Education Association also weighed in. Their president, David Stein, said this budget reflects, quote, real leadership and commitment to students, educators, and strong public schools, unquote, and called on the council to fully fund it. We've also continued to invest in early childhood education, including funding to help families access affordable childcare. Since 2019, we've invested more than $71 million in early care, created over 1,200 childcare seats, and supported hundreds of educators entering the field. I want to just go a little deeper into early childhood. It is the most important thing we can do for young children to get them ready for school and put them in a position to succeed. Children who have access to early childcare, particularly children coming from poverty and other challenging situations, benefit from this enormously. The ability to get on grade level by the time they leave kindergarten is critical, and it needs to be done with assistance from early child care programs. So this actually makes a big difference in long-term outcomes. You don't see it in the first years of spending, but as the kids move through the school system, the better they're prepared they are when they hit kindergarten and first grade, the less resources they need as they get older. So it's an investment in the present in order to save money in the future. And we've had these discussions before. It matters, and the research shows it matters. Budgets reflect choices. The council will be making decisions about how we allocate limited resources. Those decisions are stronger when they're informed by the people who live and work here. I look forward to watching the public hearings next week. Montgomery County has led the way in developing eco-friendly practices by encouraging businesses and residents to choose to live more sustainably. We have eliminated the widespread use of single-use plastic bags in the county, asked our residents to stop using gas-powered leaf blowers, and made Ride-On a cost-free option for our users. We are making progress toward our Climate Action Plan goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions by 80% by 2027 and 100% by 2035. Jurisdictions around the nation and the world are taking notice of what we're achieving. This Earth Month and throughout the year, I encourage all community members and businesses to commit themselves to choosing the greenest option. I invite everyone to join us for our 11th annual Green Fest on Saturday, April 25th at Black Rock Center for the Arts in Germantown. We're also asking families to meet the 250 Actions Challenge, inspired by the 250th anniversary of Montgomery County. The Latino Health Initiative is sharing ideas that you can adopt to help safeguard our environment and promote public health. You can also find videos about being climate ready in English and Spanish, and there are activities happening across the county this April, as well as our efforts to recognize Earth Month. Take part in a community trash cleanup. Try one of our county's new mending labs. There is a community paper shredding and electronic recycling event happening in Silver Spring on Saturday, April 11th, and on Earth Day event in Tacoma Park at the Silver Spring Co-op on Sunday, April 12th. The events throughout the month are a chance for people to get involved in ways that are tangible and immediate, whether it's making changes at home, learning something new, or showing up in the community. These actions add up and they matter. For more information about Earth Month activities and tips to live more sustainably, please visit montgomerycountymd.gov/DEP and follow our Department of Environmental Protection social media channels. So that's it for this week. Thank you for listening. Thank you for everything you do in this county, and I'll talk to you again next week.